Welcome to the Raise Your Bars podcast, where it's all about elevating your life one step at a time. With your hosts, Chris Baker and Ruttan. Together, we're here to guide you through the transformative journey of self-improvement and success. Have you ever wondered what behaviors and actions you need to change to achieve the results and success you desire in life? Well, you're in the right place. Each episode, we dive deep into the strategies, mindset shifts, and practical steps you can take to raise your bars. From personal development to professional growth, Chris and Al share their expertise, experiences, and the occasional tough love, all designed to empower you to reach your full potential. So, whether you're looking to make a big change or simply fine-tune your path to success, grab a seat and let's raise those bars together. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Chris Baker and Al Ruttan.
Well, welcome back to the Raise Your Bars podcast. I'm Al Ruttan. I'm here with my good friend Chris Baker. And today we're exploring a topic that separates good leaders from truly transformational ones. And Chris, I'm really excited about this conversation. And how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Al. We had our sort of week-long winter in Florida, and now we're like picking up again, so I'm good about that. And like you say, I'm excited for this conversation too, right? We're talking about leading with purpose, and honestly, I think this is one of the most important conversations we can have, because here's the reality, right? People don't follow titles, right? They don't follow strategies. They follow leaders who know why they do what they do.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And today we're going to dig into how you define your leadership why and how you align your values with your daily actions and how clarity of purpose really becomes the most powerful tool you have for inspiring others.
Yeah, and let's say this up front, Al. This isn't about crafting some corporate mission statement that sounds good on a wall, right? This is about discovering something real and something deep that drives everything you do as a leader. And when you find that, what you discover is that everything changes.
Yeah, so let's start at the foundation. Chris, when we talk about a leader's why, what are we really getting at?
Yeah, good question. I mean, your why is the reason you get out of bed in the morning, right? Beyond just earning a paycheck, it's the deeper purpose that fuels your work. Now, Simon Sinek, who is I'm a great fan of his, he popularized this concept, and he makes a powerful point. He says people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it, right? And the same is true in leadership. People don't follow what you do; they follow why you do it.
Chris, and here's what I've observed working with leaders over the years. Most leaders can tell you what they do. They can describe their role, their responsibilities, their goals. Many can tell you how they do it, their methods and strategies, but surprisingly few can clearly articulate why they do it.
Yeah, it's true. So why do you think that is, Al?
Well, I think we get so caught up in the demands of leadership, the meetings, the decisions, the fires to put out, that we never step back to examine that deeper motivation. Or sometimes we assume we know our why, but we've never really tested it or put it into words.
Yeah, it's true. And maybe we've never thought about it, right? And I think there's also a fear component. Discovering your true purpose requires vulnerability. It requires you to look at your life, your experiences, your values, and ask those hard questions. And let's be true, not everybody is ready to do that work.
No, that is true. And Chris, you've done a lot of work on finding your why and Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, and we've talked about this on past podcasts for sure. But this is going to bump to the top of our feed here, so new listeners. And so, Chris, I want to ask you a question: how does a leader begin to discover their why? Like, what's the process that you went through? Even what's the process that you think they should go through?
Yeah, well, I mean, it all basically starts with reflection, right? You got to look at moments in your career and not even in your career, but in your whole life when you felt most alive, most fulfilled, right? The happiest. And then you look at that and say, well, what were you doing? Who were you serving? What impact were you making? Why was it that what was it about that made you feel happy, alive, and fulfilled, right? Those peak experiences often point towards your purpose.
Yeah, I love that approach. And I'd add that you should also look at your story. Napoleon Hill talked about how our past experiences, even the difficult ones, shape our unique contribution to the world. What challenges have you overcome? What lessons have you learned? Often our deepest purpose emerges from our deepest struggles.
Yeah, that's right. And then the second part of that process is when you look back at your life. Yes, you're looking at the positive things, but also look at the negative things, right? What
Hmm.
made you unhappy? What made you sad? What made you maybe depressed, right? And what was it about that really really did it? And what you're saying is powerful. And for me personally, my why connects to watching leaders transform when they finally understand themselves and their potential. I've seen people go from feeling stuck and frustrated to leading with confidence and impact. And that transformation is honestly, that's what drives me.
Yeah, and for me, it goes back to my years in retail management, watching team members grow and develop,
Yep.
seeing people accomplish things they never thought possible. My why is about unlocking potential in others, helping leaders and teams become who they're capable of becoming.
Absolutely. I tell everybody we've all got unlimited potential, right? We've just got to tap into that. And
Absolutely.
what one thing to notice, and for the listeners, notice that neither has said our why is about making money or achieving status, right? Those might be outcomes, but they're not the driving purpose. Your why has to be bigger than yourself.
Exactly. And here's a test I use with clients. Your why should be something that would still matter to you even if you weren't getting paid. One of the
Right.
questions we ask when we do the leadership game developed by the Maxwell leadership team with people is, what's something I love doing so much I would do it for free? Right? It,
Mhm.
it should be something that connects to your core identity, not just your current role.
Exactly. And, Al, we can look at this podcast, right? We don't get
Hmm.
paid for doing this podcast.
No,
We're not selling anything necessarily on this podcast. We're doing it because we want to add value to other people. And,
exactly.
once a leader has clarity on their why, the next challenge is then living it out. So let's talk about aligning values with actions, because I think this is where many leaders struggle.
Oh, you're so right. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. It's one thing to say that you value integrity or growth or people development. Lots of companies say that, but don't necessarily live it out. And it is another thing entirely to make decisions that take actions that consistently reflect those values.
Absolutely. And, I call this the integrity gap, right? It's the distance between what we say we believe and how we actually behave.
Mhm.
And every leader has some gap, but the best leaders are constantly working to close that gap.
Yeah, and here's the big thing. Your team sees that gap even when you don't, right? They
Hmm.
watch how you spend your time, what you prioritize, how you treat people when you're under pressure. And those actions reveal your true values far more than any words do.
Yeah. So, couple of questions, right? How does a leader close that gap? And how do you align what you say with what you do?
Well, Chris, again, I think the first step is getting crystal clear on your core values. Not 10 or 15 values, but maybe 3 to 5 that are non-negotiable. This is the hill you're willing to die on. What principles guide every decision you're going to make?
Yeah. And those need to be your values, right?
Mm.
Not the values you think you should have or the values that sound impressive, right? Be honest with yourself about what actually drives your behavior.
Yeah, once you have clarity, the next step is building systems and habits that support these values. If you say you value your team's development, but you never schedule one-on-ones, there's misalignment. If you say you
Mhm.
value innovation, but you punish failure, guess what? Misalignment.
Yeah. And I like to think of it as designing your environment for success, right? Make the right behavior the easy behavior. Put reminders on your calendar. I'm huge on that. I'm always telling people to do that. Create accountability structures. Don't rely on willpower alone.
Yeah. And another powerful practice is the daily values check in. At the end of each day, ask
Yeah.
yourself, did my actions today reflect my stated values? And where did I fall short? What am
Mm.
I going to do differently tomorrow? And that simple reflection builds alignment over time. And Chris, if I can add one more thing there, when you're asking yourselves these questions, If you find or you discover that, hey, I did not live up to my values well in that specific example or experience today with a team member, with a client, with whatever, that gives us an opportunity then to go and make it right tomorrow.
For sure. And another thing, Al, is that you've got to be willing to make tough decisions in defense of your values. All right. There will be times when living your values cost you something. Maybe it's a deal if you're in sales, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's short-term results. But those moments define who you really are as a leader.
Absolutely. We've all heard this before. John Maxwell says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And the foundation of influence is trust. When your actions consistently align with your stated values, people trust you. When they don't, people become cynical, no matter what you say.
Exactly. I've seen organizations where the leader talks about values in every meeting, but their behavior contradicts those values. The result then is a culture of cynicism and disengagement, and people learn to ignore what leadership says, and instead they watch what leadership does.
Conversely, I've worked with leaders who rarely talk about their values explicitly, but every action, every decision, every interaction, really it reflects their values. Their teams would follow them anywhere because they know exactly what that leader stands for.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ripple effect of leading with purpose, right? When you have clarity on your why and you're living your values, how does that translate into inspiring your team?
Well, Chris, I think you attract people who share that purpose. You create alignment not through control, but through this shared vision, and people want to be part of something meaningful. Like, everybody wants to be on a winning team.
Yeah. And this is where purpose becomes a leadership multiplier, right? You're no longer pushing people towards goals.
Mm-hmm.
They're pulling toward a shared destination because they understand and believe in the why behind the work.
Yeah, and I've seen this transform teams. When people understand not just what they're doing, but why it matters, wow, engagement just skyrockets, Chris.
Yeah.
They bring
Yeah.
creativity and initiative because they're invested in the outcome, not just in completing the daily task list.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, how does a leader communicate their purpose in a way that inspires others?
Well, I think first you tell your story. Don't just state your purpose, share the experiences and the journey that led you to this. Stories create emotional connection in a way that a statement never can. So help people see the human behind the leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And second, learn to connect individual roles to the larger purpose, right? Help each team member see how their work contributes to the bigger mission. When people understand the significance of their contribution, even routine tasks take on new meaning.
Yeah, I think there's another point to this, Chris, and that's celebrate purpose-aligned wins. When someone embodies the values, when a project advances the mission, make it visible. Again, what gets celebrated gets repeated.
Yeah. And I would say celebrate those, even the small goals as well, right? Don't wait till the end
Absolutely.
and celebrate the final thing. Do it as you
Mhm.
go along. So finally, and again, a very, very important part is be consistent.
Mhm.
Inspiration isn't a one-time event. It's built through repeated demonstration of purpose over time. Your team needs to see you living your why day after day after day after day, especially when it's difficult.
Oh, that's so good and so true. When leaders lead with this genuine purpose, they give their teams permission to bring their whole selves to work. They create environments where people find meaning, not just employment. And that's the kind of leadership that really changes lives.
Mm, it is. So, Al, as we close, let's challenge our listeners, right? If you can't clearly articulate your leadership why in 1 to 2 sentences, that's your homework.
Mhm.
Take time this week to reflect on your purpose, write it down, test it against your daily actions.
Yeah, and remember, your why doesn't have to be world changing. It just has to be
Mhm.
authentic to you. Maybe your purpose is developing future leaders. Maybe it's creating stability for families. Maybe it's solving problems that make people's lives better. Whatever it is, own it fully.
Yeah. So, here's the thing, when you lead with purpose, you stop managing and you start inspiring.
Mhm.
You stop directing and you start empowering. You stop working for results and you start working from meaning.
Yeah,
That's the
good.
transformation that we're talking about.
That's so good. Well said, Chris. Well, thank you all for being with us on the Raise Your Bars podcast. Remember, your behaviors plus your actions multiplied by your results equals your success. So lead with purpose, live your values, and keep raising your bars. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Till next time, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to the Raise Your Bars podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please consider sharing it with your family, friends, and coworkers. We would sincerely appreciate it.